Welcome everyone to this webinar. So it's data management with AI assisted tools. And yeah, we are going to get started right away with it. But before we do that, just a quick intro about, today's agenda. Ruben, can you? Yeah. So, today's agenda, we are going to be having a quick intro about me and also the my colleague who is going to be taking you through the demo itself. So, and then also we are going to deep dive into the new functionality that we just released, which is AI merged recommendations. And then we go over some use cases with AI using Plauti manipulates. And we are also going to look into the future. What is the future of AI-driven data management? And after that, we can have Q&A. And by the way, if you have any questions during the presentation, you can use the Q&A function already to drop the question so that we can address them after this session. And yeah, going to the intro, Ismaheel, and I'm one of the customer success managers here at Plauti, helping you to get the best value out of your Plauti investment. And I also have with me Ruben, who is a product manager, and is going to be the one taking you through the demo on how you can use these functionalities. And just a quick intro about Plauti as well. Plauti was founded in 2011, and we have our HQ here in Arnhem, the Netherlands. And then, of course, we have another office in Lisbon, Portugal, and we have over 2,000 customers worldwide. So that was the reason why I said good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And then, of course, we are 100% native data management solution in Salesforce. And then, of course, we are not building for Salesforce as well. So we also build solutions on Microsoft Dynamics 365. And then below are the solutions we've built so far, Plauti Verify, Deduplicate, Manipulate, and Plauti Assign. And just quickly, I'm going to tell you about each of them. So Plauti Deduplicate keeps your data clean by finding and merging the duplicates. So automatically preparing you for different initiatives like, preparing your org for AI initiative, for example. And we also have Plauti Manipulates, which makes several data transformations and enrichments easy for you. So you will never miss any important piece of the puzzle again. And then we also have Plauti Assign, which actually improves your speed to lead by efficiently and automatically routing the records to the appropriate reps. And then we have Plauti Verify, which you can use to reach every customer and prospect without bounds. So it helps you to verify your email address and then phone number and also address fields and improve your delivery rates. And we also have Plauti Agent Force, which is an AI agent that takes care of your data management. So for example, an agent is interacting with your external users like leads or customers. It can immediately verify the phone numbers and the email address they provide and ensure that they're actually getting quality data for you after all. So, and that's a brief introduction about all the solutions that we currently have within Plauti. And then I'm going to leave the floor open now to Ruben to walk us through the new functionality. Ruben, are you ready?
Yeah, thank you, Ismaheel.
Okay, take it away.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruben. I'm the product manager at Plauti, and it's good to see so many familiar names in the attendee list. The turn up today is quite good, so we're really happy with that. And today, I'll be guiding you through the session to show you what we've brought new. And today we'll be focusing on how AI is changing the way we work with Salesforce data. And we will show you some AI-driven data management tools in a series of upcoming features that will help us taking data management in Salesforce to the next level. And the goal is to show you how these tools go beyond the traditional rules and give you smarter, also more reliable ways to keep your Salesforce data clean and actionable. So last week we released AI merge recommendation, and AI merge recommendation helps you decide which fields and which values to keep when you're merging duplicates. And instead of relying only on fixed rules like most recent or take the longest string, the AI looks at the context of the data. It can recognize that, for example, a business email is more useful than a personal one, or that a properly formatted job title is better than some messy entry. It doesn't override your rules, but it works alongside them if you configure it to do so, and giving you smart suggestions where these traditional rules fall short. That means you can merge faster, you get more accurate results, and you will deal with less manual decision making for your team. So when we talk about deduplication, most of us are familiar with using rules, the merge rules. But mathematical rules are limited and can only take you so far. So let's take a look at how reasoning can improve this process. A rule-based system like Plauti's deduplicate merge rules can easily handle the most straightforward duplicates. If the values line up neatly, the rule says, for example, keep the most recent modified value or the string with the most characters. And this is good enough for most business requirements. But where these rules fall short is when there is a conflict in the values that mathematics cannot solve. So if we look at the two records here, there's a discrepancy in the first name. Should we keep Maria or Martha? A rule cannot really tell if one has a typo or if they're in fact different people, or if one is preferred over the other. So rules will basically default to whatever you've set, like most recent or longest string, but that is not always the best choice. And this is where reasoning comes in. An AI can look at the context and notice that Martha Johnson matches the email address pattern and suggests that that is the correct value, even if a rule might have picked the wrong value. So reasoning weighs the context and gives you the most likely correct answer by taking into account the entire record, not just the values that it has to choose between. And by using this context, it is far more capable of making the right choice than any mathematical rule can do. So with AI reasoning, we can now reach human-like decisions. And by applying this technology, we unlock a new level of automated data management that simply was not possible before. But let's take this concept into practice, and it's time to see a demo of AI merge recommendation. So I'm here in my Salesforce environment. I'm in the Plauti deduplicate app. And one thing we have to do to enable this functionality in our Salesforce environment is go to the deduplicate setup. Then on the left side menu, we have the general settings. And if we scroll down in the settings page, then we will find two new settings. One of them is called AI merge recommendation. Right now I have it enabled. If you did not enable this yet, at the moment you toggle or you switch this toggle, we will open up a modal where you can sign a data processing agreement because we will process your data via our servers. I'm going to talk in a second about where does the data go exactly, because this is, of course, an important topic. After you sign the DPA with us, the functionality can be enabled. We can also hide all the references to our AI functionality from the merge page if this is what you want. Now, after enabling AI merge recommendation, we can go to the merge rules tab. We can set up merge rules like most of you are familiar with per object in Salesforce. So in this case, I'm going to the lead object and I'm going to check out the merge rules. Now there is a new column in the merge rules, include in I merge recommendation. And this is the place where you decide for what fields you would like to get a recommendation by the AI, which takes into account the context of the entire record. So as you can see, there are some fields where I set this toggle to true. So I want an AI merge recommendation on the company name. I want to have one on the email address, the first name, the last name, and the mobile phone number. So it's basically up to you to decide for what field you want to use a mathematical rule, because sometimes that makes more sense than an AI taking a look at the values and choosing the best one. Sometimes you simply want the oldest created records, or you want the most recent modified value in your master record. That makes a lot of sense. But for other fields, it's a surplus and it's an added value to reason what the best value in the master record should be. So these are basically the only steps you'd have to take in setting this up. And now when we visit the merge page, which I will do for Abigail, now in the record page where I've configured DC Live, you'll see that there is an 81% match with another Abigail record. And when I click the merge page, this page will pop up with the fields where I would like a merge recommendation for. Now, we have this shiny new button at the top, which is now in enabled state because I've enabled the functionality. I've signed the data processing agreement. And when I click it, we will send over the values and we will ask the AI to reason what the best merge would be. And the cool thing is, if we hover over the info icon, we can also get some insight into why this decision was made. And if we look at the first name, then we see that Abigail is correct and complete. And it does not have the spelling error Abigail, which is in the other record, which is not preferred, or that value is not preferred by the AI. So it's a nice example of that it's able to detect spelling errors through reasoning, something that a mathematical rule would not be capable of. If we find the last name, we see that it has a preference over fully spelled out names over abbreviations. So that's a nice choice. When we look at the company name, then you see that it chose Terra Verde Farms over Terra Verde Farm. And it did that because it catches the email pattern. And in the email pattern, you see that terraverdefarms.com is a valid email address. So it reasons that this must be the right company name because it aligns with the email address in that record. And also, if we take a look at the email address itself, it chose the .com version over the potentially misspelled .c version, which is exactly what we want. And for the mobile phone, you can see that in the area code, there is a missing digit, and it's able to catch that and is able to pick a valid phone number over the invalid phone number. And all of these things are not really, we're not really capable of making these decisions with the mathematical rules. So this is a great example of how the AI merge recommendation is of added value here. Now, there's another example I prepared. It's the one from Mr. Stark. Let's see if I can find it. And I'm going to click the merge button as well. So we got Vance Stark from Stark Industries, and we got Tony Stark with a misspelled last name. And when I ask the AI to prepare for me a recommendation, you will see that it picks Tony over Vance, and it is doing so because, again, it takes a look at the email address pattern and it detects that Tony.stark is in the username part of the email address. So it reasons that this must be the correct value for the first name. Stark with a K over C, and it says that it's most likely a misspelling. Then for the company name, it chooses the more formal notation of the company name, Stark Industries, and the email address is chosen because it matches the company name, which are really nice decisions in my opinion. So yeah, a brief demo of AI merge recommendations. Later on in this webinar, I will talk a little bit about the future of deduplication and the vision that we have for AI-driven data management. And to tell you a little bit about that already, this first stage, we provide this in the form of a button, which gives you a proposal. So the end user is able to take over the proposal or still make the changes that they want and select the fields that they want. One of the next steps that we're working on is also executing this in automation. That makes a lot of sense because right now when you're using auto merge or when you use direct processing merge, the logic that we execute on the background is in the merge rules, which are mathematical rules, which do a great job. Also, if we can extend them with plugins using our SDK cool toolkit. But it makes all the sense of the world to include reasoning for fields of choice as well, to reach a really high level of decisions in automation as well. So this is something that we're working on and that we're really excited about. All right. If you guys have any questions about this, we are doing a Q&A at the end, and it's okay to already answer your and not answer your questions, but to set your questions in the Q&A component in the Teams interface. And we'll try to handle most of the questions today. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to ask them in the Teams interface. All right. So there is another exciting aspect of AI with Plauti in another module that we have, which is called Plauti Manipulate. And Ask AI is what we call it. Ask AI lets you take any record in Salesforce or even multiple records and pose a question to an AI model using natural language prompts. And the AI processes the record's data and returns the answer. And that's not just on screen, but it's actually stored directly in a field on the record in Salesforce. And that means that the insights are not temporary. They become part of your Salesforce data. So you can report on them, filter by them, or use an answer in any form of automation in Salesforce. And one of the most exciting new features in Ask AI is bring your own LLM. So we now support Amazon Bedrock, Google's Gemini, Azure OpenAI, and also OpenAI's own endpoints directly. That means that you can connect your own subscription. You can also manage billing with your provider and choose the model that fits your requirements for performance, compliance, costs, and of course, where the data travels. And unlike Agentforce, where you're bound to a fixed set of models inside closed-off packages, Ask AI gives you much more freedom in how you implement AI in Salesforce. So you're not locked in. You decide which model to use, which is any model available nowadays, and how to apply it across your Salesforce environment. Ask AI is not limited to a single entry point. You can embed this question and answer capability almost anywhere in Salesforce using the architecture of Plauti Manipulate. It can, for example, run when a user inserts or updates a record. It can run from a list view, batch jobs, or even as part of a scheduled batch job. And you can trigger, for example, email to case summarization. We can run it from Apex. We can implement it in the flows that you already have in Salesforce. So Via all these ways, it means that we can now bring reasoning to any process you already run in Salesforce. Let me see what the next slide is. Right. There are three ways we can analyze Salesforce data. And the first one is we can process the data within a single record. For example, we can clean up job titles, or we can summarize case descriptions. But second, we can also process data within a record and include all its related records from a single type. For example, we can look at an account together with all its related cases or email messages to generate an overall health score on the account or to capture sentiment. And as a third one, we can now process a record along with its related image attachments, which opens up cases like analyzing photos of damaged projects or extracting text from screenshots, errors, and whatnot. So these three modes give you the flexibility to apply reasoning to the exact context that you need. And in a second, I will show a quick demo for all of these three modes that we have in Plauti Manipulate. So the first mode is analyzing a single records on its own. This is where we can tackle things like field normalization, segmentation, summarization, classification, or data quality checks. And a great example is looking, for example, at a context job title and automatically assigning it to the right segment like marketing, finance, or IT. And reasoning is really powerful here because job titles can be written in so many different ways. You can have the vice president of marketing, VP of marketing, head of growth. We have abbreviations, we have misspellings. And if we want to filter, segment or report on these job titles, that's impossible. So they need to be standardized. And without reasoning, you'd have to build endless rules or codes, regular expressions, synonym tables, a long list of contain statements, and you'd still miss out on edge cases. And with reasoning, the AI can understand the meaning of the title and map it to the right category in a few seconds. So let's switch over to a demo and see how it works by segmenting context based on their job titles. So switching to context, I'm here in a list view with 9 contexts where we see these titles over here, and we can see a department field which is currently empty. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to run Plauti Manipulate from a list view. This is one of the execution methods that we offer. So we can, like we saw before, run it from list views. We can run this in batch as well, which means that we can run the process that I'm now showing on your entire database at once. From a list view, we have the action launcher. And in Plauti Manipulate, we have these actions, which we can apply to the records that you select. And we have a lot of actions in a so-called action library, which is standing by that can do a lot of advanced things to your data, where you normally have to export your data to Excel, do your magic there and import it again. This is a fully native tool that can do data management actions right from within Salesforce, which is really nice. Now I'm going to use the Ask AI action, and I'm going to click next. And this is the interface that we have for asking a question to the AI and get a response, which we can store in any field of choice. And to avoid a lot of typing, I already prepared the prompt. So I'm going to copy paste. So we're asking, or we're giving the instruction, you are giving a job title, decide whether it belongs to marketing or sales. Of course, we can extend this, we can change this prompt to however we want. If the role could reasonably fit both, pick the more dominant function based on industry norms. Answer only with either marketing or sales. Now in the prompt, we still have to feed it the job title. So I'm going to type job title, and we can insert any variable from the contact. In this case, I'm going to insert the title of the contact. So basically, we'll run this prompt on all records individually in sequence, and it will replace this field variable with the actual title of the record when it passes through the action. By the way, we can feed it a lot of data in the record itself, but we can also feed it records from parent records, for example, the parent account. We can go in there and we can, for example, add fields from any parent relationship, which makes this a very useful tool because in the end, it only makes sense to give it the data or to collect data and ask it questions based on the data, and therefore we want to be able to take all the data that we need from everywhere and pull it in the prompt, and this is what we can do. So we can attach additional data. That's what we're going to do in a second, but for this use case, this is what we want. And as a result field, we're going to take the department field and we're going to click next. So we're getting a summary, and then we can start this. So when we run this from a list view, it runs synchronously. So we can here view the progress. If you run this in batch or in the scheduled batch, then it runs asynchronously on the background, which is quicker if you do it on a lot of records. So now I've clicked finished, and you will see that it's able to segment these contacts based on their job titles. So I can now in a report target all the contacts that are sales related or that are marketing related, and do whatever I want with them in a follow-up action. So yeah, a simple but very effective way of segmenting your database, not based on rules, which will eventually fall short, but based on reasoning. And it's available in your environments as of today as well. All right. So the second mode is analyzing a record together with its related record of a single type. And this opens up a whole set of powerful use cases. For example, you can interpret a case together with all of its related email messages to get a full picture of the conversation. Or you can analyze a contact together with all activities to understand the engagement that this contact has. You might ask a question about an account and include all of its closed lost opportunities in the context window to better understand why your deals are slipping. Or you could summarize an opportunity with all related tasks, so you can instantly see what has been done and what is still missing. So in short, this mode brings context by pulling related data into the same window, so the AI can answer questions based on information spread across different hierarchies in Salesforce. And in this next demo, we'll analyze an account together with the latest email messages to capture sentiment. And instead of running this from a list view, which we just did, we're going to show this as a weekly scheduled job. So sentiment can be tracked continuously across all accounts that we select. So to start or to create a scheduled job, we first have to go to the manipulate application. So I'm going to Plauti manipulate, and we're going to go to the Plauti manipulate job page. And this is an interface which is similar to the deduplicate job interface, which many of you are familiar with. And it allows us to start a batch job using any action from our action library that we saw before, such as mass update, mass delete. We can run flows in batches. So we have a lot of actions. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. Plauti manipulate on our website. It's quite extensive nowadays. But yeah, let's get back on topic. We want to start a scheduled job to capture sentiment by selecting accounts and all their related email messages or we will probably include only the email messages from the last month, for example. So the job name is capture sentiments for accounts. We're going to select object, the account object. Then again, we can run functionality like this on any object in Salesforce, also custom objects. We're not going to set up a filter because I want to capture sentiment for all accounts. And we do want to set up a schedule. I'm going to run this weekly on Sunday at 12. I'm going to click next. Now, again, we can pick the action we would like to run on a scheduled basis. And again, I'm going to use Ask AI. First, we have to set up a prompt. And again, I already wrote a prompt before, which I'm now going to copy paste. And the instruction is you are giving a recent customer's email. Read each email carefully and write 2 or 3 sentences that describe the overall sentiment across these messages. Focus on whether the tone is positive, neutral, or negative, and explain briefly why. Well, I'm going to feed it the account name as well, just for context. So I'm going to enter the field variable list. I'm going to paste in the name of the account. And now I'm going to click add attach additional data. And the data that we want to attach here is the email messages. And it's related to. And we only want to include the email messages. And there is a message date field from date literal equals last underscore week. And in the follow-up prompt, we can add data from the related object that we define at lookup object. So again, I'm going to pick the field variable. And I'm going to share the text body of each of the records that meet my filter criteria. So the message date needs to be somewhere in the last week. And those will be sent along with the initial prompt in the follow-up prompt. And the result field for now is going to be the account description. But of course, if you're going to implement a thing like this, you want to have a dedicated field. Clicking next, I have a summary again of what I'm about to schedule, and I can hit the schedule button, and immediately it's now activated, and it will now run once a week on every Sunday. I already ran this before on the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company account, and potential response could be something like this. So the overall sentiment across these customer emails is negative. The tone reflects frustration and dissatisfaction due to multiple issues, including late delivery, damaged goods, incorrect items, missing products, and delivery errors, and so on and so on. Now, this is nice. So this is unstructured information. What we can ask the AI as well is structured information. So we can ask it to respond in another field if the sentiment is good, if it's bad, or if it's neutral. And we can then apply automation that when the sentiment is bad, we will send a task, or we will create a task and link it to the success manager of that account, for example, to reach out and to see or investigate why the sentiment is bad. And that way, you can make sure that your customer success efforts will have more effect. So it's a really nice use case, not only sending data from the record itself, but also potentially all related data from any relationship and lookup to the AI to get answers and to build really nice automations. Now, the third mode is combining record data with its related image attachments. And this allows us to extend reasoning into visual information. And by the way, we are the only player on the Salesforce landscape that is able to work with vision capabilities in Salesforce. So as an example, we can extract error messages directly from screenshots and store them in structured fields. We can parse line items on receipts and link them back to records. We can assess images such as photos of damaged products and even validate whether the description that was entered for some kind of attachment actually matches what is shown in that attachment. And also recently we extended this capability with PDF files as well, so we can support sending over PDF files. And one of our customers now analyzing PDFs with AI to automatically verify if all mandatory information is present in their PDF, which is turning what used to be a manual review into an automated check that runs in a few seconds, and they're really, really happy with that functionality. So for the demo, imagine we are working at an insurance company where part of our job is to assess damage based on photos our customers upload. And normally someone has to open each image, look very closely at the image and describe or type up a description, which is very time consuming and inconsistent. Now in the demo, we will see a Salesforce flow, a screen flow that asks AI to look at an uploaded image. No, that's not the image. It's this image, which is an image of a damaged car, and it should describe what the damage sees. And it should then parse the description into many structured fields in Salesforce, so not a single response fields, but multiple response fields, ready for the rep to further specify, or maybe it simply wants to take over the description of the AI. And that way we turn an unstructured photo into actionable data in a few seconds. So let's see how that works. So I'm opening one of the contacts, and I can open up my screen flow by clicking this quick action button here, new vehicle damage assessment. And first step of this native screen flow of Salesforce is selecting a photo. So I'm selecting the photo that we just saw in the PowerPoint, and I'm going to click next. So now on the background, this flow is executing a Plauti manipulate macro. And in the macro, we can define the prompt, so what it's supposed to do. And in the prompt, and I will show you this in a second, we're asking for a JSON response. And we're asking it to describe what vehicle it is, description of the damage. You can see that it did it really nice. So the windshield has a large circular crack on the passenger side, and a few other things. And in the flow, we can parse that JSON to become variables. And those variables we can then put in fields like this, which we can store in the database. So the AI was able to review the image, was able to describe the damage, and we were able to parse it to the right fields, saving a lot of time. And of course, this is quite basic application of what it's capable of. Of course, it's capable of doing much more, especially nowadays. We can link those really extensive reasoning models, which can, for example, take 30 seconds to a minute to review something, to be very detailed in their response. And by using our architecture, you can decide yourself which models need to take place behind functionality like this to get what you need in the end. So to quickly show you the prompt behind this, if I go to the manipulate setup, we have the action library with all the actions that we offer out of the box, but also the macros. And a macro for us is a new action that we built in this interface, which is based on an existing actions, which we can then define and we can call upon from flows, for example, but also from Apex. And one of them is a vehicle damage assessment macro. So if I edit this one, you will see if I edit the macro, the prompt which is behind this, where we give it instructions to return with a JSON. And then again, we will, in the result field, store that JSON, which we can then parse in a flow. So it's a bit more advanced of a use case, but allows us to parse this in all these separate fields. So we don't have to send like all these follow-up prompts to be able to store this in specific fields, but we can send one prompt so that it also has the context of what it's saying in the initial output versus the secondary output. So it's keeping that context, and in the flow we can parse that to the right fields. So a bit more advanced use case, but it's really amazing, and it allows us to do amazing things in Salesforce, in automation, saving a lot of time, energy, and it's just really cool functionality on its own. All right, so those are basically the demos that I have for you today. So before we're going to a Q&A, if there are any questions, I don't know if they came in. Let me tell you something about what Plauti thinks of the future of AI in data management. And of course, today or last week, we were releasing the recommendation we saw at the beginning of this webinar, where we can apply reason to making decisions instead of mathematical rules, which is a great plus. We're now working on second thing, which we will release in our next release, and not the release that is on the October 6th, but the release after that. We're building an AI data steward, which is capable of verifying if a group that was flagged as potential duplicates, so in the job results, for example, is in fact a duplicate group. So we sometimes see customers struggle with the scenario that returns a duplicate group, which sometimes is a false positive response, and sometimes is a positive response, even if the threshold level is really high, and even if the matching score is really high. So this will be a secondary verification of a group that indicates if the AI, based on reasoning, so again, not based on mathematical calculations, agrees if a group is duplicate. This is coming in a new release, and you can execute a process like this after you find your initial results. After that, we're looking into opening this up. So right now, it's not possible to set your custom instructions field by field, because maybe you want to have a very specific instructions when, for example, the AI has to prefer a certain email. Maybe you do want a business email to be picked over a personal email, but if you're in B2C, you might want a personal email to be picked over a business email. So this is something we're opening up. Not only the verification of is something a duplicate, because that's of course linked to a specific business ID of what a duplicate record is, but also on field by field decisions in determining the best possible merge. After that, we're going to look into automation, because if we can include AI verification and AI merge recommendation in automation, then we can run processes like this, deduplication processes, with a really high quality in automation, something that we can now do partially because we're still bound to the limits of mathematical rules. And our vision for the end, and this is what we're working towards, is a completely autonomous deduplication agent, something you simply turn on, you give it custom instructions with natural language, and it is then able to deduplicate with a really high degree of certainty with the best possible merge decisions. This is something we're working on, and it will always be an optional thing. It will be something that you can decide to implement, yes or no. It's something that we will allow you to test very extensively and thoroughly, because we also understand that this is scary. But we have some very good and clear ideas on how we can build this really, really well. The end result is that we will be able to do this in automation, because I don't know many people that really enjoy doing this with a manual approach. This is what we're working on. Of course, we're working on many other things as well, but for our AI-driven data management, this is what we're working towards. And we'd be excited to learn what you guys think about this. So feel free to respond in the chat, or send us an email with your thoughts about this, because we would definitely appreciate it. Okay, so I talked for a long time. Next time we should go back and forth a little bit. Ismail, what do you think?
Yeah, indeed. I think you should take a sip of water. Yeah. All right, so questions and answers. So we already have a couple of questions in the Q&A function. So I'm going to start with Neil's question. So because a lot of people actually voted that, will it consume tokens, and do we need to purchase something? So I think it's asking for both the AI merge recommendation and also the use AI for Plauti manipulate.
That's a good question. So the AI merge recommendation is going to be part of our premium license, and it is available without any additional costs. So you can make use of it after signing the DPA, but there is no additional cost involved at the moment. So the only thing you need is a premium license and up.
Okay, thank you. And there is another question from Luis, which is the AI processing PHIPA compliant, which is Personal Health Information Protection Act for Canada? Is it compliant with it?
Nice, Ismail. You know your abbreviations. It's impressive. I was expecting this question to come up at some point. So if we look at the Ask AI functionality in Plauti Manipulate, we can bring our own LLM. And these are the providers that we can now, or that you can now make a decision in what to keep. So if we look at the compliance section, I think the actual standard that you were mentioning, so PHIPA, is I think not part of the certifications that these providers have, but if they're complying with all these, and it's likely that PIPA will be part of that as well. So at least we'll dive into the documentation from the providers, maybe contact them and see if this specific compliance is part of their network as well. By the way, just as a general note, all the providers, and also for AI merge recommendation, the data that is sent over and that is processed by the AI is never used for training the model. So that's a good thing to know. And if we look at AWS Bedrock, it even spins on up an isolated server to do the calculation, which is really built with privacy in mind. So there is no retention whatsoever. Technically, it's not accessible by humans. So if you're really if privacy is top of the list, then AWS Bedrock is really an interesting party to take a look at. If we look at retention, the other providers have a retention policy, but it's solely for abuse. So they want to monitor potential abuse of the endpoints, and that's the sole reason why they store data in a retention form. But you're also able to opt out of this. And if you opt out, then data that is passing their servers is processed at flight, so it's never persisted. There's no retention. The data is not used for training purposes whatsoever, and therefore it complies with the strictest privacy laws that we know. I hope that answered your question, Louis, and we will get back to you about PIPA. I don't know if you say it like that, but about the PHIPA standard specifically. So thank you for your question.
All right. Thank you, Ruben. So we also have a question from Lashanda. Can you repeat best practice for which fields to include in the AI merge rules?
Yeah, sure. So that's a good question as well. Of course, this in the end depends on the business logic that you want to execute. And I think when you have certain data which is really structured and deterministic, it might make sense to set up a mathematical rule. For example, if you have date fields, the business probably has a very clear idea of what date to prefer over another date. Do you want to pick the oldest date which is in your Salesforce environment or the new one because it's connected to all these processes and it has a context on its own. But for other fields which are more unstructured, such as names, which can contain spelling errors, email addresses, company names, mobile phone numbers, AI is able to detect wrong values or misspelled values, something that a mathematical rule is not able to do. So basically ask yourself field by field if a human would do a better job than a mathematical rule, and if a human would do a better job in picking the right value, then you could decide to send it over for a merge recommendation by AI.
Okay, thank you. We also have a question from Michael. Which AI model is being used? Is data leaving the org?
Yeah, that's a good question, Michael. So right now, the implementation that we did is making use of Azure OpenAI, and we're using the 4.1 model from OpenAI, which for us gave the best results because we have this tension between speed. So it has to be fairly quickly. Users don't want to wait a minute before they get their recommendation, and the quality of response. So we tested a few different models and we ended up with the 4.1 model. So the data travels from Salesforce through our server, and at flight it's fully encrypted. It's not persisted on our servers, so that's a very good thing to keep in mind. But because we are a processor of your data, we need you to sign this data processing agreement. And by signing this data processing agreement, we are completely following the law, and we are compliant with the GDPR, HIPAA, SOC 2, and all the privacy laws and standards that are relevant for situations like this. So it's completely safe. The data does travel encrypted at flight. So it's up to you and your organization to decide if that's acceptable or not.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Olaf, but I think you already answered that. That is there anything in the pipeline to apply AI to automatic merge? You already answered that during the presentation. There is definitely something in the pipeline, and that is also related to Marco's question about can we use this in batch job merge? Yes, it's also related to the automated merge. And there is a question from Mike about any plans to bring AI decision making to duplicate scenarios.
Thank you, Michael. So AI decision making to duplicate scenarios. Well, I'm hesitant of sharing this, but why not? So we did a proof of concept of building scenarios and deduplicate configuration via a conversational AI. And the proof of concept was really nice, and it worked really well because what we see users struggle a lot with building the right scenarios. There was a lot of toggles and switches and fields and settings that you can configure. So we did a proof of concept where you can talk to an AI, and while you have the conversation, the scenario is built according to the requirements that you write down with natural language. So we have a very busy roadmap. We want to do a lot of things. We have so much ideas, and this did not make the short-term roadmap yet, because we think there's more value in the AI data steward and bringing the merge recommendation to automation as well, which makes a lot of sense for us. But the proof of concept was really successful. So it will be on the roadmap one day, but right now it's not prioritized. So yeah, it is coming because it's also really nice functionality that helps setting up the tool with a natural language, which is exciting.
Yeah, thank you. And I think this one is also a straightforward one. That can the AI search the internet for additional information that can't be found on the record or related record? So definitely it can search internet.
Actually, no. So the 4.1 model that we use has no internet access. So it's simply the LLM-based model that is able to reason the best decisions. So there is no connection with the internet whatsoever.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. And there is another question from Olaf that how does Plauti take care of the take care for the environment by supplying all those functions on AI which absorbs energy?
Yeah, that's a good question, Olaf. Out of the top of my head, I don't know if Plauti right now has any active policy of doing anything related to this. And you're right, AI definitely takes up energy, and it's a point of discussion, which makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I don't have a clear idea or information about what Plauti is doing to basically give back to the environment in that sense. But it's a good idea to maybe talk about, and let me get back to this in the next webinar and see if we can initiate something around this.
Yeah. Okay. There is a question from Tatanos. I think you already answered part of it, that which model is being used. But there is another question, which is what precautions are taken around personal data?
Yeah, so it basically comes down to this slide again and the data processing agreement. So from a security point of view, we are taking all the possible measures to guard personal data. So the data is always encrypted. It's encrypted at flight. The data is not persisted. We're opting out of the retention policy, so data is never stored on an outside server. It's processed in flight in an encrypted state. So there is basically nothing that can happen to the data. It cannot be stolen. So it's according to nowadays standards, we take all the necessary things to protect the data at flight, the personal data, which is guarded by the DPA that we sent, and therefore again we are complying with all the privacy laws such as GDPR, HIPAA, and that's not easy to be compliant with that, but it proves that we take all the necessary measures to protect the sensitive data that you send.
Okay, thank you so much. And I also saw a couple of other questions which you already answered during the session. So it's already part of your premium license, so you don't need additional payment for this. And for those people asking about the recording, so I'll need to connect with my colleagues in marketing, but I think there should be a recording of this sent to the people that registered, right? So, and there is one other question before we leave, that is there a roadmap for when encrypted fields might be usable with the merge recommendations?
So there is no roadmap because, of course, fields are encrypted in Salesforce for a reason. And the encryption in Salesforce, when you try to send it out, for example, if you want to use it in AI merge recommendation, is very difficult. Maybe it's even impossible. It's because those fields are encrypted by you, of course, on platform. So I don't know if we will ever be able to include encrypted fields in AI merge recommendation. But if there is a lead to do so, and if this is something that is really important, we would always be happy to figure out if there is a possible way of doing this.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think we are right on time and we've been able to address virtually all the questions in the chat. So thank you everyone for joining. So we really appreciate your time with us today. We hope you've learned quite a lot from the session. And then, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to support@plauti.com. So we are always happy to, explain further or provide more information regarding these, functionalities. And of course, thank you, Ruben, for, the excellent session. And thank you, everyone. Hope you have a good evening, or if it's morning, enjoy the rest of your day.